Cognitive development in infancy and toddlerhood. As we think about the cognitive development in an infant and toddler, we think a lot about theorists. So, according to Piaget, how do schemes change over the course of development? By acting on the environment, children move through the 4 stages in which psychological structures or schemes achieve a better fit with external reality. Sometimes schemes change in 2 ways: through adaptation, which is made up of 2 complementary activities, assimilation and accommodation, and through organization, the internal rearrangement of schemes into a strongly interconnected cognitive system. Think about a scheme for a birthday party, a children's birthday party. Children, cake, games, maybe some balloons, and that scheme can change with adaptation and The major cognitive attainments in the sensory motor stage, which is the first stage, is the circular reaction, and it provides a means of adapting first schemes, and the newborn's reflexes gradually transform into the flexible action patterns of the older infant. 8 to 12-month-olds develop intentional or goal-directed behavior and begin to understand object permanence. And if you think about it, 8 to 12 months is when infants typically start to, they're sitting up. Some of them are, attempting to walk. Again, back to the intentional goal-directed behavior of, oh, I want that. I'm going to go get that. Between 18 and 24 months, mental representation is evident in sudden solutions to sensory motor problems, mastery of object permanence problems involving invisible displacement, deferred imitation, and make-believe play. The follow-up research says that, or it suggests that infants display certain understandings earlier than Piaget believed. Some awareness of object permanence, as revealed by the violation of expectation method and object tracking research, may be evident in the first few months. Furthermore, young infants display deferred imitation, and by 10 to 12 months, they can solve problems by analogy, attainments that require mental representation. Around their first birthday, babies attain displaced reference, the realization that words may stand for things not physically present. By their second year, toddlers treat realistic-looking pictures symbolically. Around 2.5 years, the video deficit effect declines. Children grasp the symbolic meaning of video. That will be interesting to watch, that research and those outcomes, as our society has access to more and more videos. Researchers believe that newborns have more built-in equipment for making sense of the world than Piaget assumed, although they disagree on how much initial understanding infants have. According to the core knowledge perspective, infants are born with core domains of thought, including physical, psychological, linguistic, and numerical knowledge that support early, rapid cognitive development. And it is that. It is rapid. Broad agreement exists that many cognitive changes of infancy are continuous rather than stage-like, and that aspects of cognition develop unevenly rather than in an integrated fashion. Information processing, which is a different theory, those researchers assume that we hold information in 3 parts of the mental system for processing: the sensory register, the short-term memory store, and the long-term memory. The central executive joins with working memory, our mental workspace, to process information effectively. Automatic processes permit us to focus on other information while performing them. Gains in executive function, which are impulse control, flexible thinking, coordinating information in working memory, and planning, in childhood predict important cognitive and social outcomes in adolescence and adulthood. With age, infants attend to more aspects of the environment and take information in more quickly. In the second year, attention to novelty declines and sustained attention improves. Young infants are capable of recognition memory. By the middle of the first year, they also engage in recall. Both recognition and recall improve steadily with age. Infants group stimuli into an expanding array of categories. In the second year, toddlers begin to categorize flexibly, switching their basis of object sorting, and their grasp of animate-inanimate distinction expands. Gradually, they shift from a perceptual to a conceptual basis of categorizing. Information processing findings challenge Piaget's view of infants as purely sensorimotor beings who cannot mentally represent experiences. But information processing has not yet provided a broad, comprehensive theory of children's thinking. Vygotsky believed that infants master tasks within the zone of proximal development, or ZPD for short. And that means it's just ahead of their current capacity through the support and guidance of more skilled partners. As early as the first year, cultural variations in social experiences affect mental strategies. The mental testing approach measures variations in developmental progress in effort to predict future performance. Scores are arrived by computing an intelligence quotient, or IQ, which compares an individual test performance with that of a standardization sample of same-age individuals whose scores form a normal distribution. Infant tests consisting largely of perceptual and motor responses predict later intelligence poorly. As a result, scores on infant tests are called developmental quotients, DQs, rather than IQs. And we will later, when we're talking about childhood and later developmental periods, we'll talk about the issues with some of these tests and with using IQ to determine some things. Speed of habituation and recovery to visual stimuli is better predictor of future performance than the IQ. And again, we'll talk about it later. Research with the home observation for measurement of the environment shows that an organized, stimulating home environment and parental affection, involvement, and encouragement repeatedly predict higher mental test scores. The extent to which parents talk to infants and toddlers is especially influential. Quality of infant and toddler child care influences later cognitive, language, academic, and social skills. Standards for developmentally appropriate practice, or DAP, specify program characteristics that meet young children's developmental needs. Intensive intervention beginning in infancy and extending through early childhood can prevent the gradual decline in intelligence and the poor academic performance evident in many children. Chomsky's nativist theory regards children as naturally endowed with a language acquisition device, LAD. Consistent with this perspective, mastery of a complex language system is unique to humans, and childhood is a sensitive period for acquisition. Recent theories suggest that language development results from interactions between inner capacities and environmental influences. Some interactionists apply the information processing perspective to language development. Others emphasize the importance of children's social skills and language experiences. Infants begin cooing at 2 months and babbling at about 6 months. Around 10 months, their skill at establishing joint attention improves, and soon they can pre-verbal gestures, or use them. Adults can encourage language progress by responding to infants' coos and babbles, playing turn-taking games, establishing joint attention and labeling what babies see, and labeling their pre-verbal gestures. Around 12 months, toddlers say their first word. Young children often make errors of underextension and overextension. Once vocabulary reaches 200 to 250 words, 2-word utterances called telegraphic speech appear. At all ages, language comprehension is ahead of production, meaning they're understanding more than they're producing. Girls typically show faster language progress than boys, and reserved toddlers may wait before trying to speak. Most toddlers use a referential style of language learning. Their early words consist largely of names for objects. Some use an expressive style, in which social formulas and pronouns are common, and vocabulary grows more slowly. Adults in many cultures speak to young children in infant-directed speech, a simplified form of communication that is well suited to their learning needs. Parent-toddler conversation is a good predictor of early language development and reading success during these school years. Live interaction with an adult is better suited to spurring language progress than our media sources.